Hello, my name is Danny Nolan and I'm the Director of ChassisSim Technologies. And welcome to this latest ChassisSim video tutorial. And today, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be walking you through is the new features in ChassisSim version 3.45. Now, like with everything involved with ChassisSim, all of the versions of ChassisSim are always an incremental development on what we've done before. And also, too, they're kind of reflective. They're reflective of what we've seen in terms of how ChassisSim is being used, and some tweaks that we can do. So, version 3.45 is no exception. So let's get started. So, the first thing that we've done in ChassisSim version 3.45 is a little tweak to the data logging, in particular the stability index logging. Now, it used to be with the stability index logging, in order for you to use that channel properly, we kind of left it to you to do filtering. And I've talked about it in previous video tutorials that you should filter the signal at 5 to 6 hertz. But I've always kind of left that in the hands of the user. Well, what we've now done with the stability index signal, because now it's being used so much, in particular to evaluate drivability, we actually do a lot of that pre-filtering for you. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. It's pretty much just plug and play. The other thing that we've also added to ChassisSim version 3.45 is some tweaks on the drivability settings. Now, if we go into drivability settings, you'll see here that with version that we still have the stability index correction map. And we've done a few little tweaks with the stability index correction map, in particular with the calculation of mid-corner stabilities, just to knock off a few of the edges. But from time to time, you're going to be in a situation where, due to the fact that with the car design being very badly conditioned, or just things that are out of your control, there are some things that, particularly in a mechanical setup wise, that sometimes is a little bit tricky to cover off the stability with the stability index correction map. So what we've done is we've added a front lateral load transfer correction map. So what you'll do is you click on here to enable, and what you'll do is you set up the map with the lateral load transfer distribution in the front. So let's just say I'll just click on this map and I'll set it between, say, 40% and 60%, and I'll just linearize that. And what I will do is, let's just say that 50% is pretty much where our drop-off needs to be. And I'll just go to 100%. And I'll just go L. And for 40%, just for the sake of the argument, I'm going to set that to about 80%. So what does this do? What this does is that when ChassisSim is calculating things at the mid-corner, it will evaluate the lateral load transfer function at the front. And so what it's going to be doing, according to this map, is that for a lateral load transfer distribution at the front of 50% or more, the corner multipliers will not be touched. So it'll basically be passed through. However, when we start to drop below about 50%, you'll see here, let's say, for example, we had a lateral load transfer distribution of, say, 44%. Then what would happen, as you can see here in the map, that would be multiplied by 88% or 0.88. So where this comes in is this is a really, really handy tool where you've got a situation where you've got a car with, say, some very, very badly conditioned geometry, or maybe some aero that's jumping all over the place. And what's going on with what's going on the stability index calc is a little bit compromised. You can see what it's doing qualitatively, but you can see what it's doing in the data trace, but trying to nail it down, what it's doing as an average at the mid-corner condition can be a little bit challenging. What this does is this closes that gap. And we've had this in testing now for a couple of months, and with some really good results. And where you really use this is where you need to tidy up some things on drivability. The other thing too that I was most remiss that we threw into ChassisSim version 3.44 is that we've got some roll gradient properties. Now, where that comes in is if you've got a car that this is where you need to, gives you the option of where you really need to tighten up the roll response. Like, for example, if you've got a car that's really rolling around, you've got a driver that's uncomfortable with that, you can just simply click here to enable the roll gradient response. You put in a roll gradient threshold, and then it basically goes off a roll gradient slope. So what I mean by a roll gradient threshold is, let's just say that roll gradient is 0.55 degrees per G. Anything over that, that's going to be punished by this roll gradient slope. So again, it's there as a little bit of a fine-tuning thing for you to really fine-tune the drivability of the car. The other thing that we've done with ChassisSim version 3.45 is that we've made some modifications to the ChassisSim setup sweeping. Now, what we've done here is, it used to be that you would put in a setup parameters file, a data parameters file, a sim log file, and that would actually work really, really well. Albeit, it kind of piggybacked off the ChassisSim scripting. And it would just run things one simulation at a time. And perfectly functional, it did the job, and we've had a number of customers in the ChassisSim user community who've been using it really, really well. What we've now done, you'll see here, you've got a little checkbox. Click here to use legacy mode. What we've now done is we've shifted the default operation to a parallel simulation operation. Now, what that means in plain English is the fact that this is now going to execute a factor of 2 to 3 times faster. Now, from time to time, you might be in a situation where the ChassisSim online licensing system has a hiccup. If that happens and all of a sudden you're finding a few simulations fall over, don't panic. It's not the end of the world. All you've got to do is click here for legacy mode, and Old Reliable will kick back in. But again, with the testing that we've done right now, we've had setup sweeps that usually would take about 17, 18 minutes. That's now dropped down to like 4 to 5 minutes. So it's a really, really good step above. Now, the other thing too that particularly affects ChassisSim Elite customers is in the optimization options, you'll see here that you've now got an option. So click here for hybrid discharge optimization. So what this does is this will go through and we'll do some optimizations to figure out that if you're running a hybrid system, what is that optimum energy, what is the optimum discharge to now lowest possible lap time. Now, this is proven to be a really good tool in terms of just figuring out, okay, we've got so much energy that we can utilize. Where do we actually discharge? Which straights do we actually discharge it? This is where this comes in. Now, there's a little bit of drift in terms of what the optimization result will be once you actually rerun the result. But the point of that is actually not to give you an absolute number. The point of that is to say, right, here's where we need to do, here's where you need to discharge, and then it's up to you to refine the results. But this is with the initial testing that we've done. This has proven to be a really, really great tool for really getting on top of where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck in terms of hybrid discharge. So that pretty much are the big ticket items for ChassisSim version 3.45. But don't take my word for it. By now, if you're already a ChassisSim customer, you should have had the email from me to say, okay, this is now up and running. But don't take my word for it. Have a play with our online simulation and find out for yourself why ChassisSim is the winner's edge. And we'll catch you in the next ChassisSim video tutorial.